Holmes here for Red Tractor Nation. We're here today with our friend Michael Gandy. He's from Enterprise, Florida, and he has a beautiful international truck here, and he has a setup on this that you wouldn't believe, because he's got the platform back here, the flatbed, for the Cub that he carries around with it. Just wanted the whole package. Michael, where'd you find the truck? What's the history behind this truck? This truck
started off in Georgia, Hawkinsville, Georgia. It lived its life there, did its service as a yard truck. It was used to move trailers from the drop yard to a peanut processing facility where they process peanut hay and peanuts and all types of peanut type products.
Okay.
It worked its life there until the man that owned it, he passed away, and the business went under.
They just shut down the processing place.
Yes.
After the guy died.
And there was a friend of mine that was in connection with them because he actually owns a feed store where he would purchase his peanut hay and bring it down here to Florida to market it. And he knew of the truck, and he had went back and he'd had interest in the truck previously. The owner didn't want to sell it yet. He was still using the truck. Mm-hmm. And after the man passed away, he went and he talked to the family, and he was able to purchase the truck.
Okay, now this is a 1964
yes.
International R190.
Yes, R195A.
195A. Now these trucks were only produced until about the middle of the 60s, right?
Yes, sir.
And so what time frame were we talking about when the owner passed away and the peanut processing plant went down?
I would say it was in the late 90s. Wow. Yes, it was in the late 90s when he was actually able to get the truck.
So we're talking about a truck that is late 90s. That's so 2000 back to 65. That's a good 35-year-old truck right there.
Oh yes.
And had it ever been out of the peanut factory's yard?
No, never left the yard.
It had never left the yard?
No, sir.
Never been titled?
No, never been titled.
Never been plated. All it had done, it had a fifth wheel on the back, and it was used as what we call a yard mule to move trailers in and out from the dock.
Yes.
And
the truck has 7,000 original miles on it.
7,000 miles originally, and most of those, or if not all of those, were just in the yard.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
For its entire life.
That is a crazy, crazy low mileage. Crazy low mileage. So tell me about how did you get it? How did your friend find it? Did he find it?
Yes, he found it. He brought it down here to Florida. He used it for some time in his feed store.
He actually used it?
Yes, until it actually broke down on him. And even when I bought it, I had to replace the points in it, and I was constantly having problems with points.
Okay.
It kept on burning the points. So I ended up having to change to an electronic ignition in it. I was able to contact a company out, I believe it was California, Pertonics, I think is the name of the company.
Yes,
and
that's
they actually, they don't make it anymore, but they made it for me.
They made an electronic ignition system specifically for you to use for this truck.
Because they haven't made them in years. They haven't made them.
I know they still make tractor stuff, but not nothing for this, huh?
Nothing for this, no.
Wow.
I mean, there's so far and few between these. I mean, to run into one, it's nearly impossible.
Wow, that's amazing.
I've accounted for about 3 of them across the United States.
Really?
Of these trucks. One was in a scrap yard, and it was pretty much gone. There's another one that was in, a guy was rebuilding it, that it was pretty rough, and this one.
That's amazing.
That's the only 3 that I've found.
Well, this one is not rough in my estimation.
Oh no,
this is original. Now, who painted the sign on this for you?
This was done by Geet from L&N Signs out of Ocala. He actually came in to my farm and did it at my property for me.
And he painted it in such a way that it looks weathered.
Yes, period correct.
Period correct. And he did it to where it's, if you were close enough to it, you could see that you can see all the brush strokes, and you can see that the lettering looks like it has started to fade off of it a little bit.
Yes.
It looks very, very nice. This was a great touch. You guys said you redid the interior, put some new seats in it.
Yes, sir.
And what kind of seats did you put inside?
We used the leather material. It's still the factory seats, but
factory frame.
Factory frame, factory foam. just replaced the material.
Just recovered the material. That is fantastic.
The only reason we had to do that was because the stitching had started coming out of the seats. The vinyl was still in great condition. It was a Naugahyde material.
Wow. Rims and tires?
The rims had been changed at some point in history. Originally, on the spec sheet, it was supposed to have 20-inch rims.
Okay.
And they had changed it to a 22.5. And I believe the reason why they did that was to get away from the split rim.
Right.
So it would be safer.
If they had to change again.
And also the availability of tires.
Yes.
Because now they only make the 20s in Sri Lanka, so they're extremely expensive to get them. And yeah, they're far and few between.
You did add some clearance lights and stuff to it?
Yes.
To make it a little more visible, a little more roadworthy.
Just give it a little bit of character.
Okay, now tell me the trials and error of getting a title and plates for this. This is
It took
a lot more than I would put up with, I think.
It took about 1.5 years to be able to get the title. I hired a service out of Tampa to actually obtain the title for me.
A license plate service or titling service?
A title service. They typically do vehicles that are 30 years and older. That's what they specialize in, is obtaining titles for older vehicles.
That's amazing.
This one was a bit of a unique circumstance because it had no history. It had never been
like
titled.
It didn't exist.
No, the truck basically, according to anybody, the truck is basically a tractor. It was sold as a tractor. It was used as a tractor. It was never purchased with any intention of using it as a truck to drive on the road.
Right.
So there was no need in having a title, nor were the federal excise taxes paid when the truck was purchased brand new either. So I had to pay that.
Oh my goodness.
When the truck received a title, because it was going to be changed to road use.
And what was that? What, can I ask you how much that was? Oh, did you pay 1964 price? Or did you have to pay 2000's price?
It was 2000's price.
Oh, no.
But would they consider the value? I mean, it was much different from, a
new vehicle.
Yeah, a new vehicle. So it's based on the value of the truck.
Who set the value for it?
The state did.
The state did?
Yes.
Does the state know what they're talking about?
No, they don't have a clue.
Well, in our estimation, the value is probably a lot higher than they think it is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, to us it's worth a lot more value than they would ever think.
I have it insured with Haggerty, and Haggerty, in the history of Haggerty Insurance, they have never insured a truck like this. They had to create a specific category for it to be able to write the insurance policy for it.
Wow.
They have never insured a 195A.
Well, now they have.
Yes, they have.
All right, let's step down here and let's talk about the back and what's going on with the back here. Now, originally it had a fifth wheel plate.
Yes, sir.
To haul tractor trailers and move them around. And so this flatbed tractor was not here. But how big was the plate, the fifth wheel plate?
It is wider than a 48-inch pallet.
Wider than a 48-inch pallet. I cannot imagine a fifth wheel plate that big.
Yes, it was an old school Fontaine.
Wow.
Manual disconnect. I mean.
Oh yeah, reach in there and pull the.
Oh yeah, it's just an arm.
Pull an arm on it, or you had a hook about yay long if you didn't want to climb up underneath
and get all greasy,
and get all greasy and nasty, and then lose the hook half the time, and then have to end up reaching up there and getting all nasty. Huge plate. And so you took that off and you put this steel flatbed on it. Where did you find the steel flatbed?
I found it at a towing service up in Volusia County. It had been sitting there in their yard. It came off of a truck that had been wrecked, and it was sitting there. It had been there for 10 or 15 years. The owner realized the potential of the bed. He didn't want to get rid of it. It just sat there, stood up in a corner forever. And a friend of mine had told me about it, that he used to work for the company. So I went down and I talked to the guy that owned the company and asked him about it. And he said, yeah, he'd been holding on to it for the right person to come along that needed it. And it just worked out right. And
it's fantastic.
I was lucky because I didn't want to put something new that doesn't look period correct and aged and weathered. And
it's still in super good shape for sitting outside in Florida for 10 years or so.
Oh yes, and beachside.
Oh my goodness, so salt air is well acting on it. It looks fantastic. This must have been some good paint they put on it.
Well, I mean, you can even see how thick the metal is.
Oh yeah.
This is serious.
That's not going to rot away anytime soon. And you've added tie downs in the front here. for the cub, and you're using a hole that was cut in the plate that you added to put a ball in it so you can mount an actual gooseneck trailer on it. But this is not the original length of this.
The bed.
Right.
I did not change the chassis length.
The chassis is as is.
Yes.
You know, if you could pull this off, drop the fifth wheel plate back on it anytime you wanted to.
Yes.
But you wanted to get the cub on it so you'd have like the full package here.
Yes. And for me, it was more purposeful. Even when I didn't have the cub on it, it was more purposeful to use for my farm. I can go to the feed store, I can pick up hay, I can pick up whatever kind of products we need for around our farm. If I need to pick up a pallet of concrete blocks,
oh yeah,
I can
it'll
haul
handle it
with no problem.
It'll handle it, yeah. And so now we got the cub up here on it, and really nice combination. Patina on the truck, patina on the cub. We think it's a 48 cub.
Yes, yes, 1948.
I think it's a 48 cub. You still have to get it running.
Yes, sir.
Because it's a new acquisition for you. And look like it got Sears lawnmower tires on the front of it.
Yes.
Might be.
They're old. But I can guarantee you they're old.
Yeah, I don't think Sears makes private label tires anymore, do they?
I don't think so.
Nope.
You can check the catalog, but I don't know.
Got 8.3 turf tires on it because we don't want to mess up the grass. Wheel weights for it still. Fantastic find. And back here in the back, you can see you shortened it up. You say you shortened it up about a foot.
Yes, the bed I did.
You shortened it about a foot so you could keep the back end right where it should be. This was welded on it already when you got it.
Yes.
And so they could pull, the guy that cut that hole, he's pretty good cutting a round hole with a torch, wasn't he?
Looks that way.
They're pretty good. Did you do the stake side bed for it?
Yes, I did add the stake side onto it. Burned it to give it kind of a more...
To give it a little age, give it a little torch, flamed it a little bit. And this is the original plate.
Well,
because you just made it the original plate, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about the plate. How'd you get the plate, Michael?
Well, I actually bought the plate from a museum. I believe it was in Illinois. They had it, and then had it shipped here. I ended up having to ship it to Tallahassee for the state to be able to review the plate.
Now, in case you're not in Florida, Tallahassee is the capital.
Yes. And this was during COVID, so it took a long period of time. It was about 9 months before I was actually able to get the plate back.
Because they had to verify that this was
an original plate, unaltered. Yes.
A real license plate.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And it can't be altered, it can't be repainted, it can't be reproduction.
It just has to be
original.
Totally original.
And finding a low number plate like that also is a very, very rare occurrence.
1C-95.
Yes, 1C. 1 would be referring to the Miami area.
Okay.
And then the C meant it was identified as a commercial vehicle.
Okay.
And 95 was the issue of the plate.
Wow. So number 95.
They're almost certain that the plate originally went to a school bus in the Miami area.
That's amazing.
In 1964.
That is amazing. So did the state have to trace it back to its original? Is that what they traced it back to?
Yeah, they did, and it belonged to the county.
Oh, it was a county vehicle.
Yeah, it was a Dade County. Dade County actually had the plate. They're pretty certain it was on a school bus, but they don't really identify what vehicle it was for the county back then. Okay. They just had certain plates.
Did you renew this plate? It's going to expire.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I just haven't. I'm horrible with the stickers.
Oh no. Well, if the cops run the plate, then they'll know.
They'll know it's good.
They'll know it's good because the sticker really doesn't matter sometimes. Oh my gosh, it's just a beauty of a truck. Great idea putting the cub on back of it. Great farm truck. What do you farm?
We do horses, cows, goats. We have chickens. Usually we're raising pigs. We're not doing a pig right now, but we just raise our own animals for sustainability, and a lot of them are for pets. You know, we also donate our property to the FFA for the kids to be able to raise their goats there.
My gosh, I could almost be the spokesman for FFA if they actually had one like me. But
we love being active in our community and supporting the youth organizations, and youth organizations were good to me in my childhood, and it's just something to be able to give back.
Yep. It's fantastic. So let me ask you this. When did you become a red guy?
Oh. I'm not sure how far back.
That way.
I'm not sure how far back. I've gone through many different shades of tractors. I actually, my first tractor was a Gibson tractor. It was a stick.
Oh, you're kidding me.
It was a stick steer. It was my first tractor that I ever had. Then I had a John Deere B, 1941. It was hand start. I've had case tractors. I've had farm-all tractors. I've had Deere tractors. I've had all different kinds of tractors, but the farm-all, this combination really stuck with me.
This combination right here, an International Harvester truck and a McCormick Deering farm-all Cub or any other IH tractor, man, that's just a match made in heaven, ain't it?
Yep. I had to put it together, and I don't know, it's just something that I had to do.
Just beautiful. Michael, thanks for spending time with us today. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure, and thank you.
It was great.